sales. I'm going to be giving you a virtual test drive of this 1979 Volkswagen camper van that we're going to have up on eBay here shortly. Figured to take you for a little drive, put it through the gears a little bit. Out here on a fairly kind of a country road with a fairly steep incline. This bus has really got a lot of power. It's a fuel injected 2-liter and handles hills and whatnot like this without any trouble. Got some notes here. I'll kind of go over some of the things that we've done on this van in the last couple weeks to get it ready for this auction, and kind of let you get a feel for what it is. This van was parked in 1997. The previous owner owned it for about 30 years. In 1997, it only had about 8,000 miles on the motor, and the owner was driving back about an hour out of town, was late, was running it kind of hard, and dropped the valve. Pulled the heads off. The previous owner was a Volkswagen mechanic, and he pulled the heads off and sent them out to California, had the heads rebuilt, big valves in it, and as you can see here, we're pulling this pretty significant hill. I'm in 4th gear still. We're down about 40 miles an hour. I probably could have dropped to 3rd and gone up a little quicker, but it pulled that pretty good sized hill there in 4th gear and just slowed down to 40 miles an hour. Was about as low as we got. A lot more power than a lot of the older Volkswagens. I'd cruise through this intersection. But he sent the heads off, got the heads back, put the motor back together, got it all for the most part installed. Just didn't quite finish it up, and for one reason or another, the bus sat in his shop for the last 16 years on a lift, and just never got finished. We got the van and got it in the shop. Looked over the motor. The exhaust was there, but it was kind of an aftermarket exhaust. It was kind of in rough shape, just rusty and old. We replaced the exhaust with a new German exhaust that we got from Alan over at Southeast Idaho Motors here in town. Ordered a stock, factory tip for it. Got the exhaust on. Fuel lines were in pretty rough shape, so we changed out the fuel lines. Tested the injectors. The injectors tested good. So we ran the fuel lines, and while we had the fuel lines out, we flushed the tank. We flushed the tank in the vehicle. Flushed it multiple times. Probably ran 4 or 5 gallons of cleaner through it before we finally started getting nice, clean fuel coming out of it. Flushed it on both the return line and the feed side of the fuel tank. So tank's clean. Haven't had any issues with it since we've been driving it. New fuel filter, of course. Plugged everything in. Put a new battery in it, and she fired right up. Ran great. Rear bumper had some damage on it, so we searched around for a new rear bumper for it, and that proved to be a little difficult to find. We finally found one and cleaned it up a little bit. Just kind of straightened up a couple of 1 or 2 major dents that it had. Came out pretty nice. There are still a few little dings on it, but when we refinished that in a rust inhibiting single stage paint. Once we got that bumper done, we decided the front needed to be done as well, so we pulled the front off, removed the Bosch fog lights, and sanded out some rock chips and refinished that. The bus is completely original paint, other than the nose and the bumpers. We refinished the bumpers. The nose appears to have been refinished probably 20 years ago. Looks like maybe somebody bumped the spare tire carrier, kind of pressed the nose in a little bit in the bottom, and so it was probably had some body work and was refinished at that time. There is some cracking and a few spots where there's some chipped paint, and the color is slightly off, but it looks very presentable, and most everyone that's looked at the bus hasn't picked out the fact that the front end has been repainted. We pulled the wheels off, refinished the wheels, just a factory silver metallic color. New tires, front and rear. Had those mounted up. Pulled the hubcaps off. Two of them were a little beat up. Had some scratches that were just not fixable. So we picked up another set of used caps for it, and we polished those up. They look really nice. The body, the paint on the body was in need of a serious polish. We didn't do any sanding on the vehicle as far as color sanding goes, but we did use some heavier cut cleaners, some grittier cleaners to help buff off some of the rust. In the photos, in the other video that we'll have posted up on the eBay auction of a walk around, you can see there is some rust in the lips on the rear wheel wells, and there are two small quarter-sized rust holes in the battery tray. Other than that, the bus is extremely rust-free. There are photos under the front mats, the front floor. Just a very rust-free, very dry bus. Other than those rear lips on the wheel wells. Let's see, what else did we do on this thing? We pulled the interior out. Everything with the exception of the cabinets. The rear seat came out. The front seats came out. The mats came out. The mats were all pressure washed. The inside of the bus was scrubbed down, cleaned out, and then we cleaned everything with the spray wax, with the mother spray wax. And like I say, under the front mat on the floor, I mean, the paint down there looks just as good as the paint on the outside of the bus. So very, very clean, very dry front floor. The rear seats we pulled out. The rear seat in this bus is a split, I don't know, rock and roll seat. Some of the guys in the UK call them Z-beds. The guys here call them. This one's split in the middle, so you can actually lay half of the seat down, make a bed on one half of the seat, and still have the other side of the seat in the seat position. The right side, where the majority of the traffic, people getting in and out of the bus, the cushion on that right side, the pad was damaged, and it wasn't fixable. So we actually pulled the pad out of the back. It's the cushion for the rear bed. We pulled that pad out and removed the upholstery from the top of that pad. Used that to refinish that cushion, and then we had the rear cushion reupholstered in just a brown vinyl to match the original look. And you'll be able to see that in the stills of the other video, in the walkthrough of the other video. The upholstery was all clean. The drapes, which actually aren't pictured in the bus right now, the drapes were pulled. We took those drapes and we cleaned them. There are a few spots on the drapes. They're a brown drape, and there are a few spots on the drapes where there was a little bit of sun bleaching, and we took those drapes and we dyed them just a factory brown color, and we were able to get a lot of that, some of that bleaching. We were able to kind of minimize that or hide that. There is still some spots on the drapes where you can see that they've been bleached out a little bit by the sun, but the drapes themselves are in good shape. I believe there is one of them that has a couple of small holes in it, but the rest of them are in great shape. No rips or tears. All the ties and the snaps and everything that go along with them are there. I'm going to pull over here and let this guy ride my tail around us. Everybody's in a hurry these days. It's one of the things you get used to driving a Volkswagen, is just pulling over and letting the crazies go by. Let me check my notes here, see what else we did to this. Throttle cable was a little frayed. We replaced the throttle cable. Clutch cable and the Bowden tube looked good, but there are a couple of there's a throttle cable and a Bowden tube that comes with it. I'll just leave that in the glove box. That'll just be included in the sale. When we replaced the windshield, I don't know if I mentioned yet that we replaced the windshield, but we replaced this windshield just with a PGW windshield, and we got a new gasket for it at the same time, so it's got new rubber on the windshield. The rubber on the rest of the vehicle is in very good condition. There's no cracking. You know, a lot of this rubber, you know, on these older vehicles cracks and leaks. This thing, I think, has spent a lot of time inside. I know for a fact that at least the last 16 or better years that it's been parked in the shop, and so you know, the sun hasn't damaged a lot of the rubber and stuff that gets damaged from the sun. The tent on the top, on the other video, the video walk around, the tent is in very good shape. I don't believe there are any rips or tears on the tent. There are, I think, one or two spots on the screen of the tent where the screen's a little bit, where it's got a hole or two, about probably quarter size at the largest, maybe nickel size hole that could be easily repaired. The fiberglass top is in great shape. The edging, the protective edging that goes around it, has a couple of spots where it's shrunk up just a little bit, and where it's just kind of slightly warped. Now, speaking of edging, all of the T-molding, or the edging that goes around the cabinets in this bus, the larger 1-inch T-molding was all replaced. That molding just gets brittle over time and starts to warp. All of that was replaced with a brown color, a similar color. There is a smaller 1/2-inch T-molding that where the cabinets meet up along the edging and stuff. Some of that is still warped. I wasn't able to find that particular T-molding here in town, and so that molding there was not replaced. But the cabinets are in great shape. There's just normal minor wear that, you know, you'd expect from a vehicle this old, but no abuse or nothing really torn up or in rough shape. Back to the fiberglass top. This top's this camper where it pops straight up. The front window that zips out doesn't have a screen in it, and that allows you to stand up inside the vehicle, unzip the screen, or unzip the tent, and reach up into the front roof rack section of the fiberglass top. That has a couple of tie downs inside there. I believe there might be one of those that is broke loose, and there's a small crack up inside there, but nothing that's visible from outside the bus. The only way you can see that is looking down inside the top. The spare tire that's on the front of this is the original spare tire. We out the spare. The tire's in good shape. There's no cracking. There's no wear that I can really see on it. It doesn't even really look like the tire's ever been on the road. We did put a aftermarket spare tire cover on it. It's just kind of a one you can pick up at any of your RV places. This is a pretty significant hill here we're going up. This is the approach down into a reservoir just outside of town, and it is extremely steep. We're in second gear here, pulling up out of this, and but I think you'd probably expect to be in second gear just about any vehicle coming up out of here. We put roughly 400 miles on this since we got it. We haven't owned this bus for very long. We've had it for about a month now, and put about roughly 400 miles on it, just as kind of driving around town, back and forth to work. We live in a pretty small community, and my commute to work is about 5 minutes, so it's mainly been back and forth to work, out to visit family a few times. But the bus is always handled great. Fires right up. Haven't had any problems with it running. I haven't actually tested the fuel mileage on this bus. I'm sure you can find that information online somewhere, but I would guess that the fuel mileage on this would probably be in the low to mid 20s, based on other Volkswagens that we've had in the past. When we got the new battery in and got everything fired up, pleasantly surprised to find that all of the lights work. The headlights were working, high beams, turn signals. We did replace the 2 rear corner lights, the side markers or the clearance lights. We bought those are new aftermarket. The front reflectors on the doors were good. All of those lights worked as well. Brake lights. The brakes were actually tight when we got it. The pads they look very new, like very few miles on them, and the rotors are actually in good shape. Kind of developed a little squeak. You could probably pick it up on the video, but I've developed a little bit of a squeak in the right front here. I pulled that off this morning and cleaned it. It was pretty dirty. Had picked up some dirt and gravel in there, small stones, and cleaned that up, and it was good for a few miles. I started squeaking again, so I may need to replace the pads on the right front. For some reason they're squeaking. As far as the camper kit goes on this, as far as like the stove, has a 2-burner stove above the sink, or above the refrigerator. And the propane tank is located on the passenger side under the sliding door. I haven't tested any of that equipment. I haven't tested the 2-burner stove. I have not tested the fridge. I haven't tested the sink. Any of the stuff to do with the sink or the water, the tanks or anything. I'm gonna leave that up to the next owner to take that stuff in and have it checked out, or check it out themselves. And we're just going to list it as is as far as that stuff goes. The clutch feels good in this bus. It shifts great. You do have to hunt just a little bit for third and fourth when you're first driving, when you first start to drive it and you're first getting used to it. The shifters, it's not really loose. It's just takes a minute to figure out just where the gears are. But I have taken a couple of people on test drives, and after a couple of times shifting into third and fourth, it's real easy to drive. 133,000 miles, but I was told by the previous owner that that's actually 133,000 miles. We're driving, yeah, it's actually 133,487. That's what we'll actually list it at the auction with whatever the current mileage is on the odometer. However, you know, I don't have any way to certify that that's only 133 where the odometer is only a 5-digit odometer. There's no way to know for sure. I'm just going off of what the previous owner told us. Obviously, when we sell the bus, it'll be sold exempt status just because of the year and because of the 5-digit odometer. The heater fan works, and we do have the flex hose that the heater is connected up, and everything works good on there. Unlike the earlier Volkswagens, where the heater, the faster you went, the more the heater blew because it was blowing air off of the motor. This has actually got a little squirrel cage fan. Yeah, anyone that's familiar with these later buses probably is familiar with that. Also running an old school Alpine tape deck, so make sure and get on eBay and find some of your favorite tunes on cassette, because this thing's running a cassette player. It's also got a 100-watt amp under the dash. Just kind of do an acceleration here, not get real crazy after it, but kind of accelerate and just show you how this thing will accelerate if you need to. Pull out here on the highway. Not gonna win any drag races with it, that's for sure. That's 55 miles an hour right there. Cruising at 60 now. Crosswinds are a little, you know, a little higher profile vehicle, and then that pop top on the end, this is pretty high profile as well. You know, the crosswinds sometimes you do have to kind of be ready for those. We're cruising right now at 70 miles an hour. It's not floored by any means. Like I said, I personally wouldn't cruise it sustained at 70. I'd back off and cruise somewhere around 60 to 65. But you know, the power's there if you need to pass, if you need to pass a vehicle, if you need to go up a hill. This bus has got the power to be able to do that for you and do it reliably. About back into town. Again, my name's Jeremy. I'm with Skeeters Auto. Skeeters deals on eBay, and this video will be up on eBay shortly. We're on a 7-day auction on it. We'll be closing next week, and feel free to give me a call with any of your questions. Anything else you'd like to see, if you'd like some better photos of any particular part of the bus, my phone number is 208-200-6053, and I'll be more than happy to get you detailed photos of anything you want to see on it, or if I missed something in the description, I'll be more than happy to you know, get you some more information on it. Thanks for watching. Check out some of our other videos on YouTube, and subscribe for more Volkswagen content.